The day the massive white yacht drifted helplessly near the quiet marina felt like a scene torn from a movie. But the tension in the air was painfully real. The engine had failed without warning, leaving a floating symbol of power and wealth stranded like a wounded giant, while dozens of experts walked away shaking their heads. What no one expected was that the solution would come from a poor, tired father with oil-stained hands and a past full of quiet sacrifices, a man the world had learned to overlook. Before the story goes any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humble hearts, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us what really matters in life. The marina sat along the coast of Florida, where luxury boats usually meant polished shoes, expensive watches, and people who never worried about tomorrow. Among them lived Nathan Cole, a man in his early 40s who blended into the background like a shadow. Nathan was a widowed father of two, working as a general maintenance helper at the docks. His days began before sunrise and ended long after dark, his body always aching, his mind always calculating how to stretch his paycheck until the next week. He had once been a mechanical prodigy, but life had redirected his talents toward survival instead of recognition. Years earlier, Nathan had studied mechanical engineering at a small community college in Ohio. He was brilliant with engines, especially marine systems. But when his wife Clara fell seriously ill, dreams collapsed under hospital bills and responsibility. He dropped out, took whatever jobs he could find, and became both mother and father to his children, Lucas and Hannah. By the time Clara passed, the world had moved on, and Nathan never had the chance to catch up. The billionaire who owned the stranded yacht was Richard Holloway, a tech tycoon. Known across the United States for his ruthless standards and public confidence, his yacht, valued at more than most people's lifetime earnings, had suddenly shut down mid-cruise. 50 highly paid engineers were flown in over 2 days. They ran diagnostics, replaced parts, argued quietly among themselves, and ultimately failed. Each one left with frustration written on their faces. The yacht remained silent, unmoved and mocking. Nathan watched all of this from a distance while tightening bolts and scrubbing decks. He noticed details others ignored. The sound the engine made before shutting down, the way the cooling system pressure fluctuated, the faint smell of burnt insulation mixed with salt water. His mind began working automatically, connecting dots he hadn't connected in years. Still, he said nothing. Men like him were not invited into rooms where billionaires waited. Eventually, desperation replaced pride. With engineers gone and time bleeding money, Richard allowed anyone nearby to take a look. Nathan stepped forward slowly. His uniform faded, his boots worn thin. The contrast between him and the polished professionals who had failed was almost embarrassing. People whispered, some laughed softly. Nathan felt that familiar heat of humiliation rise in his chest, but he thought of his children, their rent due, and the quiet promise he had made long ago to never stop believing in his own worth. Nathan didn't rush. He listened to the engine like a doctor listens to a heartbeat. He traced wires, opened panels, and followed instinct sharpened by years of hands-on labor. He realized the problem wasn't a major failure, but a rare interaction between two systems that were never meant to conflict. A small sensor, damaged by moisture, was sending false signals, forcing the engine into permanent shutdown to protect itself. It was something textbooks barely mentioned, and software couldn't easily detect. He worked carefully, cleaning corrosion, rewiring a bypass, recalibrating the system manually. Hours passed. The sun shifted in the sky. People grew silent, watching this quiet man do what 50 experts could not. When the engine finally roared back to life, the sound echoed across the marina like a miracle. The yacht vibrated with renewed strength, and disbelief washed over every face present. Richard stood frozen, staring at the engine display, then at Nathan. For the first time in a long while, the billionaire felt small. This wasn't about money or power. It was about humility. Nathan hadn't just fixed a boat. He had exposed the flaw in a system that values titles over truth and appearance over ability. News spread quickly. Media outlets picked up the story of the poor dock worker who solved the impossible. But what mattered most happened quietly. Richard asked about Nathan's life, his children, his unfinished education. Within weeks, Nathan was offered a full-time position as a senior marine systems consultant with benefits, flexibility, and respect. His children moved into a safer neighborhood. Lucas smiled more. Hannah slept without worry. For the first time in years, their home felt warm again. Nathan didn't become arrogant. He didn't forget where he came from. He continued showing up early, helping others, and reminding young workers that brilliance doesn't always wear a suit. Richard, changed by the experience, funded scholarships for overlooked talents across the country, quietly honoring the lesson he had learned too late. As this story begins to settle in your heart, take a moment to comment below and share where you're watching from. Your voice matters, and your story might inspire someone else who feels invisible today. Near the end of the year, Nathan stood by the marina at sunset, watching the same yacht sail smoothly into the horizon. The ocean breeze carried peace instead of exhaustion. He thought about how close he had come to giving up on himself, and how easily the world could have missed him forever. Life hadn't changed because luck arrived. It changed because he stayed ready, even when no one was watching. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that quiet strength still exists in this world, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps these stories reach others who need hope. Sometimes, all it takes to change a life is believing that no effort is wasted, and no person is truly invisible.